Welcome back to the Boardroom contestants. As you know, this is a competition. And as a judge, I've been looking at everything holistically from the beginning to today. I've been looking for that one contestant that stands out because he or she has taken a little snippet from every week and brought it into the boardroom today. That shows me a growth trajectory. That shows me a hungry mind and somebody who has applied that which he or she has learned along the way. And this has been a journey. We've had flash mobs, mall activations, influencer marketing, all kinds of things. Sadly, not one of you brought an integrated learning into your presentations. All of you reverted to you. Where you were, in my mind, in episode 1. And that for me is very telling about who the next brand ambassadors should be. Yes, of course, there is the week in review, but at this stage of the competition, we're looking for who we're taking into the final. Right? You've had masterclasses, you've had exposure to resources, you've had all kinds of challenges to prepare you for this week that has been. Ask yourselves, did you truly use everything that you've been taught along this journey and bring it to this week's task?
This was an exciting challenge for me because it was an individual challenge. So you needed to showcase what you can bring to this competition. And so this challenge this week was all about showcasing to us who we can take into the top 5. So the history throughout this competition is important. But even more important is what it is that you are going to bring holistically to Capitec.
And that is fundamental. Both the history and what you'll bring to Capitec. As well as personality. Once again, do you have the tenacity? Are you always on? Do you really, really, really want to be the next brand ambassador? And are willing to do anything to work for Capitec at all times? A few questions. Zanika, instead of jumping wholeheartedly into the challenge, when selling tickets at the mall, you admitted that you were somewhat tired, it was difficult, your heels were making it a bit challenging to do so. Take us through that process. Why were you that way?
Okay, so like I admitted, I had block heels on. Myself, I think Sheridel also, we had heels on. So it was uncomfortable physically to walk around that. Not that I was making an excuse, but I was just trying to narrate and paint a picture of what was happening physically to me. Not that it wasn't necessarily like an excuse or a cop-out that because I've got heels, now I don't want to walk around. I did walk around. There was no time where I was sitting or whatever. I did walk around, all the way around actually, in V&A. But unfortunately, I just only managed to sell 3 tickets.
So Zanik, how did you find the experience of actually selling tickets at the waterfront?
It was daunting and it was awkward.
Clearly, since you only sold 3 tickets.
Yes, but if I can be honest, one has really nothing to do with the other, because it wasn't a case of, how do I put it? It wasn't a case of me not approaching people. It was a case of there's rejection, I don't have any branding on people, there's no credibility of what I'm doing.
Ah, you see, that's exactly what I was talking about. about being right back at episode 1. If you look back, because you all may not be from Johannesburg, but you've certainly watched the episodes. Everyone wore branding. When you did the mall activations, you were branded. When you do whatever it is, even the CSI initiative, going out into the public, representing Capitec, you guys have been branded. Yet, you chose not to be branded. And then use the fact that you were not branded as the excuse for not selling the tickets.
Well, I also think just at this stage of the competition, for all of you guys, actually, feeling awkward is just not good enough. The next brand ambassador really wants this.
And to be honest, I think everybody felt like they were really being pushed to a completely different space. Do I agree?
Yeah.
And so that's not really a differentiating factor because everybody is actually at the mall at the same time trying to do the same thing. But the attitude of how we approach the challenge is critical for a brand ambassador.
Actually, Sylvester is 100% right, because if your attitude in approaching the challenge is not right, how you execute the challenge will not be right. And the result and the output will be reflective thereof. So if you felt the task was daunting and it took you into an uncomfortable space, because those are the words you use, daunting, uncomfortable, the energy you would be bringing to an engagement with somebody at the mall would be uncomfortable, daunting. And therefore, you only sold 3 out of the 10 tickets that you were required to sell. And that brings me to you, Portia. How did you feel about the challenge? The same?
No. For me, I'm not uncomfortable speaking to people. So I just generally went up to people, being who I am, asked them, are they interested in buying a ticket? If they did not know about the Live Better talk, I tried to educate them about the event itself. However, what was difficult is that people always said that they don't have money. Yes, they would like to attend, but they don't have money. I really do believe that I tried my best to sell those tickets. There wasn't a moment where I gave up. I honestly walked all over the place trying to ask people to buy tickets from me.
I'd like to differ, and I'll tell you why. I wasn't there.
Okay.
One thing I will tell you where I was when you were calling AKA. I was very disappointed. You could tell
we all overheard that.
We all overheard it, and you could tell that he wasn't impressed at all. You were not in any way meeting him halfway, putting the effort, making it exciting for him to attend, luring him, telling him why this would be interesting, why he would benefit from being at a Live Better Talks by Capitec. None of that energy. Nothing convincing at all. In fact, I am shocked that he agreed that he will attend.
I think a key thing there definitely is attitude. And as a brand ambassador, it's about energy, and I can give you a thesis about energy, right? Because it's what you bring into the room. So how we approach people, how we approach challenges is going to determine what the outcome is going to be. So as a brand ambassador, you probably need to be the happiest person at Capitec, you know?
In every challenge, no matter how daunting or uncomfortable it is.
But Portia, you're fortunate that when it came to presenting here, your work was great.
Cheryl, I am in awe of one of the speakers that you had to call. I happen to know that this person is a humble person, a very forthcoming person, and a very, very hardworking individual who will always make a plan and get things done and come to the party. Your conversation with him was less than inspiring. And the same could be said with you, Zanika. You have one opportunity to speak to people you don't ordinarily get to speak to. Imagine that. On the telephone, engaging with people so aspirational, and you come across as flat.
And I must say, as a brand ambassador, your mobile phone and that number is going to be your friend, right? Because you need to be able to make those calls and make things happen. And if you can't really engage at that level and inspire people to come to your world, it's going to be very difficult for you to do an effective job as a brand ambassador. So you have to take that very seriously going forward.
Do you have anything to say?
I would like to say something. With regards to, after I put the phone down, I realized that was substandard. That was a real substandard conversation. And I think that what I took away from that, or what I learned, is once I'm given that opportunity, although he said that he just wants to cover these topics, I should have used that as a door to ask something else while I had him on the phone. So agree to it, okay, that's what we're going to speak about, but use that as my doorway in to just conversate with him a bit more, and I didn't do that. And unfortunately, I realized that when it was done.
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
Too often in this space, you only get one chance.
Yeah, definitely.
You've seen it in this boardroom.
Yes.
Where you get that one chance to sell yourself, that one chance to convince the judges, that one chance to do the task. And if you're telling me where we are at now, at top 6 level, that you took your one chance and blew it?
I actually want to go to Chase. Because Chase, you know, I'm sitting here right now, I'm actually wondering about your presentation today. Because I think of all the presentations, you didn't get to actually deliver a full presentation. And that ability to be able to use your time to tell your story is important in this competition. But you just go direct to production aspects more than the actual task requirement in terms of what you need to present. Do you think you did a good job today?
I think I focused too much on the post itself and what was inside the post and the messaging, as opposed to getting to the point of who I'm bringing to the event, why I'm bringing those people. Because, like you said, that was such an important aspect of my pitch that you saw on Tuesday when I had the graphs, I had the pie charts, the reasoning, the rationale behind everything. But I didn't bring all of that information and all of those equations and the reasoning and bring it to this boardroom and show it to you.
But Chase, you knew that you were going to have to give us a top line. You knew that walking into the boardroom.
And I have to ask, is Chase more than production?
I am.
I wonder about that. Why do you always get so caught up in the production? In every single task you lean towards production. Why have you not tried to take yourself out of your comfort zone and try something different? You've learned so much, you've had exposure to so many people from the industry, from different parts of the industry. Why have you not veered out of production into another skill set so that you can become well-rounded?
I feel like what happens is I do that, but behind the scenes. Like I said, I went very strategic in my thinking behind everything that you saw, but I didn't then show you that thinking. Like I said, I divided everything holistically of who I'm bringing. I created an equation with pie chart to make sure that I've got 33.3% of people from media, because that's the majority of the people who are on the panel. And I didn't show that.
I think you need to take the blinkers off.
Yeah.
You talk about strategic thinking. Sometimes strategic thinking is about simplicity.
Well, all the time.
Okay? And sometimes strategic thinking is about, you talk about the behind-the-scenes planning, is about before you even tackle the task. The task is sell 10 tickets on the ground, then sell 10 tickets online. Now, if I were to approach the task, before I even leave the house to go to the V&A, I would have made sure I have 10, if not more than 10, potential buyers of those tickets. Where would I have looked for those people? Who, by show of hands, looked up who the business owners are of the businesses at the V&A? Who, by show of hands, looked up potential business owners in and around the V&A that you could invite to a coffee at the V&A to do a pitch to them at a restaurant, at a coffee shop? Who, by show of hands, looked at your own networks and asked who would be in and around Cape Town, or who do they know who would be in and around Cape Town and the V&A at the time that you were supposed to be there to sell tickets, that you could invite, so that when you got there, strategically, you already had potentially sold your 10 tickets. You weren't getting there to sell 10 tickets. That's strategic thinking behind this.
It's so important. In fact, a couple of you guys.
Okay, so you did. So then the question becomes, how then, if you did this, Zanika, did you sell 3 tickets?
She didn't. Oh, you did do it.
I called my sister, but obviously they were at work, so the whole time thing. But like you're saying, strategically, maybe I could have done that before, because...
That's my point.
Yes,
you guys are the top 6. You get to the V&A and are reactive. When I hear behind the scenes thinking and strategic thinking, I'm thinking about what did you do before you started the task to be strategic about tackling the task.
Okay, and regarding planning, I'm glad there's an improvement, especially regarding your influences.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't see this as a joke, but I think you chose people you'd be attracted to rather than people who are suited for the Live Better talks.
Certainly, I have to agree.
Right? But I'm glad that you took the notes. That is very key. You could have gotten influencers who were never interested or who would never be interested in Live Better talks. But I'm glad you went back, took our advice, and used it when presenting here.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot make such mistakes.
Yes, ma'am.
Target market. Who's best suited for the event? How can I maximize?
100%.
On the subject of target market, I have to say that it is going to be very important to understand who we are doing things to, or who we're doing it for. Because, and particularly when I think about Yumpo, is that they Live Better talks themselves. We're about trying to empower young people, really. So it was not just an exclusive get-together of fabulous people, because that's not really what Capitec is about. And I think notes for everyone is that just being clear about who this event is targeting will then determine the kind of influencers you will then select to come to that event. Because I think that most of you missed the boat there in terms of linking that a bit more. And for you, I think you did amend your strategy, but I think in the planning phase of it, it did look like it was just random. And we cannot be random as strategists. And as the next brand ambassador, we need to be more clear about what the outcome needs to be.
In fact, you're right, because I do know the influencers you picked. For example, Coconut Cows, who's amazing in terms of the political space. Obviously, her being in satire, and she's great, and she's somewhat a comedian, of course. For Live Better, not so sure.
In my defense with her,
Sure.
I thought she is a brand in building, and for her to be part of the Live Better talks, she would inspire other people to be brands, not in advertising or doctor, but how to put yourself as a brand, because that's also a platform that we're trying to give back to the community.
And I hear you, but do you think someone like herself would be interested in Live Better talks?
I think she's smart enough to be willing.
We're not, again, not condescending,
yeah.
not if she's smart enough.
No,
It's not
no,
about-
yeah, no, I'm not condescending by what...
No, I hear
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, do you think if she saw Live Better Capitec talks, she's the kind of person who'd want to attend something like that, or a comedy awards, or something else to that effect? Is that something she'd rather want to?
I think we would be boxing her, putting on the comedy awards, where I saw her mind as strong in a sense that if she can attack such political spaces and have a voice, she could also be able to inspire in our Live Better
Then
talk.
why did you not confirm
That's
her?
the confusion, though.
Oh, I did confirm her,
Okay.
but she'll be in Joburg. And yeah, it's just her time. We've been chatting on WhatsApp. We've been chatting a lot on WhatsApp.
Okay.
And it's just the times that are off.
I think that's the confusion for me. The confusion is you're thinking of her to come to inspire, but there's already a panel of people that are going to be inspiring everybody. So what we need is just someone that can help us to be able to cast the net wider to bring people into the event. So that's the confusion I'm talking about, is that... So Mpho, for you, it is about being clear about what the outcome is, because you're confusing the role of the influencer in the event, because they're not supposed to come and inspire people in there. We already have a panel of inspiring people, but it's about how we cast the net wide to be able to get people onto the events. And I think, for me, from a strategic point of view, you do need to think about that before you start shooting.
Okay, thank you very much.
And whilst talking about strategic points of view, the role of the brand. This is the next brand ambassador. What on earth were you thinking by not including the role of the brand in your outputs? How could you miss something so fundamental as the top 6? At this point in time, we cannot be making such basic mistakes. That was for episode 1, when you came in green. We are now at the who's going into the finale stage, which means who is one of the next brand ambassadors. If you do not know the role of the brand in a task, how are you going to know the role of the brand in the job? Very, very worrying.
There were lots of mistakes there, definitely. The most fundamental one for me that stood out the most was also CI, you know, the identity of the brand and making sure that it is closely linked. The only 2 people that I felt got the CI right was Portia and Chase, for me, closer. But most of you sort of, you know, created your own sort of look and feels, and you can see that it actually doesn't really fit the brand. So if you're the brand ambassador who doesn't know the CI, you don't deserve to be a brand ambassador.
Absolutely,
But hey,
because this is a Capitec event.
And did we not, let us just rewind to that horrendous episode in the boardroom not too long ago, right? When you were planning the event and you went on a site recce and we specifically addressed the role of the brand, the CI integration, how the brand needs to show up so that people understand what event it is you are attending. We've just been through that exercise. Are you telling me you've learned nothing from that? Are you telling me that you didn't hear us when we said to you the subtleties of bringing in the brand colors? Do you remember we spoke about this? We've been through this. We had a horrendous exercise. Go pear-shaped just a few weeks ago.
This challenge was very important to remind us that sometimes we will be asked to go to places we've never been before. And at every single opportunity, we need to rise to the occasion, no matter what. And that's the essence of the kind of brand ambassador we want to see. So from this challenge, we've had to think about the entire journey of this competition. The strengths we saw, the improvements we've seen, and of course the growth that each and every single one of you have brought into the competition. But it was also a challenge that will expose us and show us who we need to take to the top 5. The judges have made their decision. Coming to the top 5 with us are the following names. Sharadel, welcome to the top 5.
Thank you.
Chase, welcome to the top 5.
Thank you.
Portia, welcome to the top 5. Cebo, welcome to the top 5.
Thank you, sir.
Mpho and Zanika, you are the bottom 2. Mpho,
Ma'am.
I've looked at this competition from the beginning to the end. I've looked at every task. I've had to revisit in my mind every encounter, every output. Today, your presentation was by far the worst of your outputs. I truly expected more from you. Based on the performance of just this week, I have a big question mark about you going forward. Zanika.
That's Marco.
Yes, that's right.
Zanika. Contrast to Mpho, who's had a few strong moments, it almost feels like we've been pulling you through challenge after challenge after challenge. What we did enjoy about you is the willingness to want to be the next brand ambassador. But has it been enough? I don't know. Your attitude this week. You admitted it yourself. It's not enough. The next brand ambassador is someone with that tenacity, a positive energy, a willingness to do anything to be that person who will work at Capitec. Do you shine enough? Is it obvious that you deserve to be the next brand ambassador? I'm not so sure.
And because we as the judges are not 100% sure of yourself, Mpho, and yourself, Zanika, I'd like to put it to your fellow contestants. Who do you believe should join you as the top 5 to go through to the next round? Anyone? Chase.
If I had to choose one person, it would be Mpho, but with the exception that he needs to learn how to follow, learn how to listen, and not just listen, but hear what other people are saying. And if he can really do that consistently, I think he would be great.
Do you think that he could do that after all these weeks of the same feedback and not rising above that? Portia?
I don't know.
Ma'am, from the beginning, I feel like Zanika always had the willingness to listen and to learn. I think she really deserves to be part of the final because she's consistently put in the work in for it. And perhaps this wasn't her strongest week, but I do believe that she has the attributes to be the next brand ambassador.
Cebo, who would you like to see join you in the final?
I would like to see Mpho join me in the final. Based on energy, Mpho, with each challenge that we start, the energy is always, how can I kill this challenge? It's never been anything less. Yes, he may have his faults. Other people might see him as not that people's person, but I've grown to learn who he is and respected him for that. And the fact that he's always just pushing to do better, for me, that tenacity, that drive, I'll take him for that.
Well, one.
Sherdal.
For me, more than anything else, I know that Mpho has his faults. Well, so do I. But if there's one thing I cannot take away from Mpho, is his presence, his hunger, his drive. Even moments where I felt maybe demotivated with something. He has that energy in every single task. At the beginning, he's there, he's present, and he's grinding, and he's hungry. And that is someone that I look at, and I feel, I could learn from you, I can be inspired by you, and I can stand next to you. And I feel that we could make a difference.
So, Mpho,
Ma'am.
your one opportunity to be a leader, you blew it right out the park in a catastrophic, disastrous way. You have 30 seconds to convince the judges why you and not Zanika should be in the top 5.
Ma'am, I feel from day one I've learned a lot, especially when Nandi has been stressing about personality. Throughout my challenge, right after that, it's been just personality, even how I approach people that are not within the tasks in the challenge, how I approached at the community center. Everything of mine not only has been just about work, but I've brought my colorfulness in my work.
But you still have contestants saying that you don't listen and you need to learn when to follow and not lead.
Zanika, you have been somewhat here and there, mediocre at times, did better this task, but then still before had an attitude problem. Why do you think you should still be here? What have you brought to the competition that really makes you stand a chance to be the next brand ambassador?
I think I have brought something to the competition, and I'll tell you what I think it is. I am authentically myself all the time. I am brutally honest about a situation that maybe, or feelings or things that people are going through, or what is the reality of what we are facing, how hard the task is, what the challenges are. So I'm the person who will be more vocal about that in terms of just sweeping it under the carpet and making it as if everything is okay. How that comes across maybe comes across as if it's an attitude, or maybe I'm not taking it too serious, or maybe that I'm putting up excuses for it. One thing that I do know is that I've learned a lot in this competition. Week in, week out, I've learned a lot, and I've tried to push myself out of my comfort zone. I've tried to learn a lot from the fellow contestants, from the people that I've been encountering in the competition. I am hungry for this. I don't understand how that's not translating, because I really do need the opportunity as well. And
you know, there's an appreciation for that you want this, and I think we know this as your judges, because a few weeks back we saved you because we wanted to see more of you in this competition. But it's also important for us to feel comforted that you are bringing something to the competition as well. You are bringing something to Capitec, so we need to know what is in your backpack that we can look forward to at Capitec. And you know, you're talking about being brutally honest, but how does that translate as an output?
That's actually the problem we're having with the youth right now. I want the big car. Are you willing to work for it? No, I don't feel like it today. I don't know, I'm tired. I really want the big house. Sure, that mansion's amazing. Do you want to put in the hours? I don't know if I want to. Zanika, that's you. You really want and need, in your case, to be the next brand ambassador. Are you willing to put the work in? Have you done a great job to deserve it? Not so sure.
The judges have made a decision. We have a responsibility to choose the best of the best. We sit as ambassadors for Capitec right now in choosing the next brand ambassador to go into the Capitec workplace and workspace to work with the Capitec team to carry the Capitec brand. And the 5 people we believe stand a chance to be one of the next brand ambassadors includes Mpho. A leader knows when to lead. A servant leader knows how to inspire others to be led by knowing when to follow. Remember that.
Thank you.
Mpho, welcome to the top 5.
Thank you.
Zanika, it's been an incredible ride. You have shown the whole country what it takes to stay focused and to fight. But what do you think you're going to be walking away with from this competition?
I'm going to be walking away with a lot. I've learned a lot about myself, working in a team, the industry. I've learned a lot even about Capitec, what it takes to be a brand. Sorry. I've literally learned a lot.
And you have grown. And we are very proud of you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the road ends here. But continue learning. Continue growing. You will blossom. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Though your journey ends here, Zanika, what we said earlier about this having been a journey from episode 1, all the masterclasses, all the tasks, everything you've been exposed to, use it. Use it.
And to the top 5, we are very close. The finish line is just right around the corner. So, we are going to be even more harder on you. And we suggest that you also push yourself even further.
Thank you. You're dismissed.